distinction and to leave only the marriageable women alive. That is an instruction that's very frequently repeated, by the way, and invariably carried out.
I would correct Hitchens only on this one point, for the Bible has Moses, God's own prophet and alleged author, ordering his troops to murder every man, woman, and animal and to pillage and destroy all their homes. But the only people permitted to survive were not marriageable women. They were described in the Bible as female children. In Jewish tradition, the distinction between adults and children is marked with a mitzvah at age 13. So Moses demanded that his men preserve only preteen girls, and all that that implies, with their mothers and baby brothers horribly butchered right in front of them, and these little girls were only allowed to live after their captors determined whether or not they were virgins. Think about that for a moment. Despite the fact that the audience at this debate included busloads of schoolgirls in tartan skirts, it still would have been wise of Hitchens to point out that Hebrew tradition at that time permitted what would today be considered the sexual molestation of prepubescent children, as well as other atrocities like genocide and even abortion, all with God's full support in each case. It would have been wise of Hitchens.
You already know what it is. Welcome back. Man, as much as I would love to categorize the different stages, the different levels of growth in prepubescent boys and girls, that's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you the points of importance that I found, and you can go from there. The Hebrew word for lad and for damsel are like man and woman. The Hebrew word for lad is na'ar. The Hebrew word for damsel is na'ara. Okay? This is important to understand that the age level of a lad and the age level of a damsel are synonymous. Okay? So, what I'm going to do is show you some scriptural references to which you can use to find the biblical definition of a damsel and a lad. Then we're going to look at what science says.
First off, what does the word prepubescent mean?
First, let's look at this definition. The definition of prepubescent. Prepubescent of or pertaining to the years immediately preceding puberty. A prepubescent girl or boy. Another definition is prepubescent, before the age of which a person is first capable of sexual reproduction, who is not yet capable of sexual reproduction.
Now, when does puberty start?
Girls begin puberty at 10 or 11. According to my research, girls begin puberty at 10 or 11, and boys at 12 and 13. Now, girls usually complete puberty by 15, between the ages of 15 and 17. The boys usually complete puberty between the ages of 16 and 18.
Now, where in the Bible can you find where someone is having a relationship or authorized a relationship with a prepubescent child? I need 2 witnesses. Now, for God to tell them to make sure that they were virgins would indicate that there was a fail-proof way that they could find out, or they already had established a way to find out who was a virgin and who was not a virgin. Now, let's look at it from a science end.
Thinks, well, not more than 500,000 years. Richard Dawkins thinks it could be not just 750,000. I can sink the number, actually, if you like. We know that the species left Africa about 75,000 years ago, having probably shrunk down to about 2,000 or 3,000 people as a result of a terrible climatic disturbance, probably from Indonesia, probably from a predecessor of Krakatoa, which meant that we were this close to joining the 99.8% of all species ever living on the surface of this planet who became extinct. Some design, by the way. Profuse creation of millions and millions and millions of life forms, all to be wiped out, with not even anyone left to testify to their previous existence. We nearly joined that lot. Managed to get out of it just in time. Let's call it, I don't want Francis's million or 500,000 or Richard Dawkins' 75,000, whichever way around. Just give me that amount of time. Suppose we've only been around for 75,000 years. Monotheism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, shows up, heaven watches, as the human species is born, dies, usually of its teeth, usually at about 20, usually with infants having about 9 primates. Homo sapiens has been on the planet for at least 100,000 years, maybe more. Francis Collins says maybe 100,000. Richard Dawkins thinks maybe 250,000. I'll take 100,000. In order to be Christian, you have to believe that for 98,000 years, our species suffered and died, most of its children dying in childbirth, most other people having a life expectancy of about 25, dying of their teeth, famine, struggle, bitterness, war, suffering, misery, all of that for 98,000 years. Heaven watches it.
I'm just going to add this on to what I already said, so I can highlight it later. Okay. Boys usually complete puberty by ages 16 through 18, reaching maximum adult size about 6 years after the onset of puberty. Okay, this is what I read. So in essence, 6 years after the onset of puberty, their size is finished. They reach their full size 6 years after. Okay, so we're talking what, 21, 22.